Here, let me explain to you something about Texas. And somebody asked me yesterday, they said, do you think that this was they were manipulating the weather? I think at this point in time, there's no doubt they've been manipulating the weather, whether it's cloud seeding, and now we see evidence that they were cloud seeding in Texas and things like that. And you can believe what you want on that. I'm not here to get into that. I'm still too brokenhearted to explore that. We will. I have no problem. We can do some deep dives on all of those things. I don't trust this government. I think we just established that. But when I woke up on July the 4th, and as we got into the morning, I was with Party Foul Steve, and he and I were talking. He said, these floods are happening. I started sending text messages because I've been a part of these floods before with the Guadalupe River. There were a number of years ago, I think it was 2015, 2016, something like that the Guadalupe flooded. When they were down in Wimberley and New Braunfels. A lot of people lost their homes. People lost their lives. We did all-day fundraisers, working hard to help get those people restored. I've been involved with this numerous times, so I'm not unaccustomed to hearing about floods happening in Texas or the rivers rising. This, however, was different. This was tragic. We haven't seen anything like this in a lot of years. And, the death toll with this has now gotten over 80. I think we're going to continue to see that climb. I want to say the last number I saw was 83. It could be higher by now. And this is tragic. Steve asked me, he said, are you hearing about these floods? And I started to look it up. And let me just say, as the day developed, I was absolutely, you talk about feeling helpless and hopeless, because this hit in the early morning. It wasn't with, they want to accuse and say this was without warning. There was warning. There was a lot of NOAA warning. In fact, normally in those offices, there's only 2 people monitoring that. In this case, there were 5. I have seen the flash flood warnings that were sent out in text message to people. There was plenty of warning. But again, what do we do? I mean, when you see these types of warnings, whether it's a tornado watch or, let's face it, even an Amber Alert, you look to see if it's in your area, and then you go on about your business. I mean, we want people to just kind of look at these things and say, everybody needs to pay attention to this. But this is the 4th of July. We're talking about kids at camp. Kerrville, which is a beautiful town. By many cases, it's sort of a retirement town. A lot of folks will, over the years, have retired there. It's beautiful. It's, it's down. It's got the hills. It's got it's got the bluffs. It's got the cliffs and the mountains. It's gorgeous. The river runs through there. And, in the early hours of that morning, the Guadalupe just starts swelling. Less than an hour, you've got meteorological horrors that are unfolding. I mean, you're talking about 25 feet rising, possibly more, in just about 45 minutes. So all the warning in the world isn't going to save you from that when it happens that fast. The pictures that are coming out of there, the stories that are coming out of there, some of them miraculous, most of them are tragic. They would tell you the warnings didn't come soon enough, but again, what are the warnings? These are text messages that come in. We're talking about, little girls that are at Camp Mystic. You got 750 girls. The waters are going to hit the hardest right there. They're not reading their text message at 4 o'clock in the morning. These girls aren't reading their text messages at all. They're at camp, for crying out loud. And now we got video that's come out, images of campers being rescued, names that are being lost, the faces of these children, these kids that are confused and drenched. And we've seen ones with them on the bus singing their worship songs, trying to calm their fears and give thanks. These parents being reunited. And I'm just broken. When you think about these kids that went to camp with how it is. You go to camp, you're nervous. You want to be there, you're excited, but you're nervous. You don't want to be away from your parents for a week, but you're excited about being at camp. And you think that this is going to be the place where you're going to be safe. They were reassured by their parents, you're going to be safe. And you got these 8 and 9-year-old girls. And they're just feet from what becomes a raging river. Many of them still missing. Camp director Dick Eastland, he was a father figure to so many. He died trying to save those in his care. And we find out about these other camp counselors. Some lost their lives trying to save. And then you have some that survived, but saved many. I mean, heroes, you start to see the heroes that emerge in all of this. We hear about that, the Coast Guard swimmer that they went in there and saved all of those folks. He said he had about 200 kids scared and cold and terrified. Probably the worst day of their lives. And he said he didn't feel like a hero. He said he just felt like a dude. And let's play this clip. This is what a hero looks like, folks.
Hey, yeah, good morning, everyone. So I'll kind of give you guys a quick synopsis of what was going on. The Coast Guard launched us and decided to send a rescue crew from Air Station Corpus Christi at about 6:30, 7 a.m. on Friday, the 4th of July. I just happened to be on the duty crew with Ian Hopper, Blair Rougefort, Seth Reeves, some of our crew members in the Coast Guard. And they sent us out. We kind of encountered some pretty serious weather, some of the worst flying we've ever dealt with personally. It took us, which should have been an hour flight, probably took us about 7 or 8. Just to get into the landing zone. Once made about 4 different approaches trying to get in, we were able to get boots on the ground with the Air National Guard, Department of Public Safety for Texas, game wardens. And we decided to leave me on scene at Camp Mystic. That was kind of our main triage site we were trying to help out with. And we decided, hey, if we leave the rescue swimmer on scene, we'll have more space in our Dolphin MH-65. So based on that, I got on scene, boots on the ground at Camp Mystic. Kind of discovered I was the only person there. As far as like first responders go. So yeah, I had about 200 kids mostly, all scared, terrified, cold, having probably the worst day of their life, and I just kind of need to triage them, get them to a higher level of care, and get them off the flood zone with a lot of the US-60 Army helicopters.
Talk about how that works. You got 165, close to 200 kids there. How do you get them out? Just one by one?
Yeah, sir, it's a great question. So the United States Army National Guard was landing their 60s with Task Force 1, some of their rescue swimmers, and they were able to land. We kind of came up with 2 different landing zones. There was one off an archery field and then one at a soccer field. So yeah, we were able to kind of land those 60s in there. And then I was kind of the main guy as far as like grabbing people, usually like 15 to 10 kids at a time, maybe one adult with them, and bringing them over to those 60s and getting them to a different LZ that was kind of safe and had more first responders than just myself out there.
Had you ever done this before?
No, this is my first one. I haven't had any cases before. I've been a rescue swimmer for about a year, fully trained for about 6 months. This is my first experience, but I really just kind of relied on the training we get. Coast Guard rescue swimmers get some of the highest level training in the world. So really just kind of relied on that, and that, just knowing that any of the rescue swimmers in the Coast Guard would have done the exact same, if not better than me.
That's right there. This guy, I mean, phenomenal. Lived up to his training, but lived up to his character. I mean, you notice how he continues to give credit to others. I mean, he gave credit to his team members that were with him on the helo, and then he talks about how the same guys would have done the same thing. This is, then you have the doctor. You got these pinheads that want to come out there and say they're happy that Texas got this because they voted MAGA or they voted for Trump and they, Trump gutted FEMA or the NOAA, which is just absolute nonsense, especially when you compare it to the fact that Joe Biden did the same thing, except they're not gutted. He opened the borders and then funded illegals with the money. And then Donald Trump is trying to get these illegals out of there. Let me tell you something about Texas. We're resilient as hell. I know a lot of people, including myself, we're doing everything we can because in many ways we feel like we don't know what to do, but we're doing as much as we can to raise money, to raise supplies, to get the things down there. I was on the phone yesterday with a number of people. We're trying to go over a list of what is still needed. There are things that are coming up like, pet supplies, because a lot of times people forget you're going to have strays everywhere. There's bug spray, stuff like off. People don't realize the size and the vast amount of mosquitoes that are in places in summertime in Texas, especially when there's moisture, and you got people down there working, and we're trying to coordinate. We're trying to get this food stuff, children's stuff. Brianna Morello got over 3,000 items delivered to her home just in the last 48 hours, and I know she's headed down to deliver things tomorrow. Graham and the guys this morning on Dear America, they were able to raise, about $10,000 or so. There's a lot of stuff going on. And let me tell you why we do that, because here in Texas, we take care of our own. We believe in taking care of our own. Listen, we've got arguably the 8th or 9th largest economy in the world. We can take care of our own. We have the resiliency and the independence and the self-dependence within the borders of Texas. We're a big state. We have the ability to take care of ourselves. We've proven it over and over again without relying on FEMA, what we did during Hurricane Harvey. Right here in this area and south of me, when we sent out our big trucks and 4x4s, and we got into places, personally, we got into places during Hurricane Harvey that the Corps of Engineers could not get to. So I know what Texans are capable of, folks, and God bless you and good on you, because we're going to take care of our own. But this is a tragedy, folks. There's no doubt about it. We are still in shock in all of this. I have been in touch with the congressman from that area, Chip Roy, of course. Chip is, I've got Chip's cell phone number. Wes Verdell is a very close friend of mine. He is the state representative from that area. We're trying to coordinate with them without bothering them and try to figure out what are the best ways that we can help and assist and be hands, eyes, and hearts and tears and all of those things. Because you're looking at over 83 people who have died statewide, 68 in Kerr County alone, which is Kerrville, 30 of them children, more than 40 remaining missing. And again, these numbers are probably wrong at the time you're listening or watching this. You've got families in Kerrville. Pull up, David, pull up the doctor there, the pediatrician. This is the level of BS we're dealing with here. This is Christina Props. She's a pediatrician in Houston. And yes, this is real, folks. This is, she went after Mary Bowden pretty hard back during the COVID stuff. Here's what she said. She said, may all visitors, children, non-MAGA voters, and pets be safe and dry. May all non-MAGA voters. Kerr County MAGA voted to gut FEMA. They deny climate change. May they get what they voted for. Bless their hearts. People like this don't deserve. They don't. She doesn't deserve to practice medicine in Texas or anywhere for that matter. To be that heartless, that gutless, that soulless, that just absolute hope-destroying ghoul of a human being. While on the ground in Kerrville, Texas, you got families that are searching through debris in Louise Hayes Park. Officials promising a full after-action review, even as overnight warnings were lingering. Because let me tell you something, the rain didn't just quit. It was raining there yesterday. The hill country was raining. We've seen rains up in Georgetown, Texas. We've seen stuff going on in New Braunfels. Sarah Marsh, 8 years old. She's one of the campers who lost her life. Look at these children. Look at these children. And the audacity of this person to say that she celebrates, because of the politics in Texas, she celebrates the loss of life. This entire cabin, I posted this yesterday. Entire cabin of sweet little girls. There are 2 counselors washed away. They're gone. Several bodies have been recovered. Several still missing. We're praying they find the survivors and praying extra hard for families who are living the parents' worst nightmare. Now we're 3 days past this, and our worst fears are there because time is no longer on our side. You got a 13-year-old camper. I'm not even going to say her name out of respect for her family, but she's talking about how a helicopter landed and it was really scary. You got Sheriff Larry Latha, who's pleading for answers, saying that 10 girls and a counselor remain unaccounted for. You got the mayor and the city manager promising to clear steps to strengthen future preparedness. We're looking at that, having to play politics and having to play media and all this crap while we're still missing bodies. Look at these people in the water. I mean, this is no joke, folks. This is horrible, horrific. You can't write a nightmare. This is something that I don't even think Hollywood would write into a script. Kerrville, Texas is a resilient town, just like all the towns in Texas, and they're going to rebuild. It's a city broken, though, but the beauty of it is it's a city united right now. If you drive down Main Street, and I've done a lot of events, I've done a lot of things in Kerrville, you're going to see, you see it now, I promise you, it ain't going to look the same way that it did. You got folks, the soul of a town has been stripped. You got the 27-year-old young man who died trying to get his family, his kids, his wife, his fiancée wife, whatever she was, and his mother out. And he cut his arm on the glass, busting the window out of his home because the floods were rising to get them on to the roof. He severed his arm to the point of almost cutting it clean off, is what they said. That's their words, not mine. Severed an artery. And his last words is he said, I'm not going to make it. These are broken families, folks. And the water, that just like always, it's going to recede, man. But I want you to listen to these words. Play this clip here. This is what's left behind.
And that will never gone unnoticed.
It just started pouring in. We had to fight the door to get it closed just so that too much didn't come in. And we ran back to the room and we started calling 911.
Julian's fiancée, Christina Wilson, says after 20 minutes, the water was up to their knees. Julian punching open a window to try and get her, their children, and his mother to the roof.
It severed his artery in his arm, almost cut it clean off.
Christina says they kept calling 911, but no one came in time to save him.
About 6 o'clock, my husband was dead. He had lost all of it, all his blood. He looked at me and the kids and my mother-in-law, and he was like, sorry, I'm not going to make it. I love y'all.
Christina says she found her fiancé after the water receded, but his body wasn't recovered for hours. Now, loved ones remember the man they call a hero.
He was the hero out of this story.
Especially when they told him my brother is dying. They should have went to him first. I mean, that's how I see it.
He's just the kindest person I've ever met in my life, and I will forever love him no matter what.
The four stand together, saying more needs to be implemented.
But you know, at the end of the day, you can speak their names, and you can criticize their faith, and you can criticize the politics of a state. We had 6 flash flood emergencies, but yet we still had so many that are hurt, and people are going to politicize that and blame. But there's grace. There's grace. Thank God for the Coast Guard swimmers and the rescuers and the FEMA people that come in, the helicopters pulling children from the debris, the medical teams, the neighbors, the strangers, the people who lost their lives being heroes, saving others. 850 people, as I can tell, at least at this point in time, rescued. And I just remind Kerrville, Texas, you're not alone. You're not alone. And this was an encouraging, there on the school bus, these young campers still praising the Lord. Play the clip.
It's fresh like spring. We want to pass it on. Reach for you, my friend. This happiness that I found. Can't depend on it. It matters not where you're bound. I'll shout it from the mountaintops. Praise God. I want my world to know the Lord of love has come to me. I want to pass it on.
Let me just say to the mothers who've lost children, to the campers who escaped, to the community standing in the mud and the tears, this is not where the story ends. From destruction comes resolve, from grief comes promise. Listen, July 4th, it didn't bring fireworks for these kids. It brought tragedy, but it will bring unity. It will bring solidarity. It will bring a new vision. And I promise you, it will. For most of us, I pray that we don't politicize this and see politics in it. I pray that we see the loss of life and the tragedy of it. But in the midst of it, I pray that we see the God who is in the middle of it, who's holding on to every broken piece with his hands. And I pray that we let these losses remind us that life is fragile. Because if this nation or these communities, this state, if anything is going to survive, if humanity is going to survive, we got to remember that it's not just about resilience and all of these things of coming together and the heroes, but ultimately about the one who helps us remember. See, that's I posted this yesterday. The Christian faith doesn't mean it doesn't mean you're not going to go through tragedy, you're not going to go through suffering. It means that you've got one who's going to be there in the middle of it with you. And that's why I hold on to faith. That's why these kids hold on to faith. We're far from through this. I mean, the emotional damage as well as just the damage done, insane. So I posted this. I said, where is God in all of this? The power of the Christian faith is not that we are spared from suffering, but that we are never alone in it. And I'll just say this along with it. We worship a God who entered into our pain. Jesus wept at the tomb of his friend. He bled on the cross, innocent and betrayed. He knows the grief. He knows the loss, and he meets us in ours, and not with empty words, but with pierced hands. The cross proves God's not distant. The resurrection proves that the darkness doesn't win. Even when everything shakes, our faith is not in our feelings. It's in a Savior who conquered death itself. He promised the Lord is near to the brokenhearted and saves the crushed spirit. That's Psalm 34:18. And that promise still holds, and it does. So hold fast, child of God. Sorrow may last through the night, but joy, real, eternal, unshakable joy comes in the morning. And even now he is with you, still working, still loving, and still faithful, always. And let me just say, I believe we're going to see stories of miracles coming out of all of this. I really believe that.